Hello, Perfect Death here, and this is Dwarf Fortress, or more specifically, Slaves to Armok, God of Blood, Chapter 2, Dwarf Fortress. Histories of Avarice and Tenacity. So, Dwarf Fortress, game that inspired a lot of other games, and you can thank me, Barry, because she reminded me of this game. This is basically a story simulation game. So first, start a world. You can set some parameters here, like how long you want the history, some other stuff, so I could go like very high savagery. Now, there really is no mouse control normally, so a lot of this game is going to be keyboard. Right, so I go down here and I can say, oh yeah, let's go high savagery, or very high, or go low. Beasts, these are the kind of creatures that are notable. So like dragons, cyclopses, things like that. Minerals. So you can do a couple of things like that, but let's just go. Now what you have here is, it is going to generate history. So it's kind of warping around, it's creating historical figures, people are dying, there's events that are happening, and you can see little like settlements expanding around as the different civilizations grow. So you can find some noticeable things that I can tell right now, like this big purple spot is a goblin civ or some kind of evil civ. They started off in this section here, and they have a couple little settlements, and they're expanding around. There's another one over here, and you have like some dwarven ones, which are these omega symbols. So there's dwarves in the mountains. We've got some humans, which are these like check marks, and you can see them, they're building roads. There's more roads, some fortresses being built up, and they'll come into conflict with each other. Like over on this right side, they're probably fighting a war over here. We've got some elves here, dwarves there, some dwarves here. And so as it progresses along, I think it's going to do 200 years of history. It's starting to slow down because it has a lot more stuff to process right now. And if you were to try to get more years of history, it would take even longer to do. There's some interesting stuff, like up here in the top left corner, that's a volcano up in the Arctic ceiling, which is pretty interesting. You can go way up there and settle there, and I guess have an Arctic volcano that you can build a fortress in. Then you have things like tundras, and some of these purple areas are going to be like haunted biomes and things like that. But for the most part, a lot of these are just the goblins expanding around. And this can take quite a bit of time just to set up your world, as it's already done most of the world generation. If you've ever played Minecraft is very inspired by Dwarf Fortress and how it generates the world and things like that. Very block-like in that regard. But in this game, it's all 2D. You're looking at it from up top. And when we do play, you'll basically be in one of these little squares, and then inside of that square, there's a whole bunch of other things. So this is just like very simplified representation. So you'll have these triangles, which are really tall mountains. And you can settle in there. It'll be extremely rough terrain. If you go down to like some of these other areas, these are like swamps, jungle, where there'd be like a lot of trees, vegetation, water pools. There's like oceans in here. Sometimes there'll be islands on there that if you wanted to, you could set up on like an island. And some of these, like this here, these red squiggles, that's a desert, but it's a red sand desert. And then you have like a yellow sand desert. That's a little bit up here. And yeah, you can see that the dates are starting to slow down quite a bit each year, because every time a year ticks, let's see just how many historical figures we get. Yeah, so did 3 years there. Got like an extra 100 people. And another year happened. Another year happened. So these different figures will have relationships, they'll do things, they'll interact with people, and some of this stuff will carry on for your playthrough. Like, if you are part of a civilization, you might very well encounter someone who is a historical figure, like the faction leader, for example. They might come and migrate to your fortress if you become wealthy enough. You can also find some things where somebody might come over and they're a historical figure, they've got a history behind them, and they can migrate to your fortress, and they'll have skills and family members. They might not bring their family members with them, and you might end up finding their family members later on, or they might never see their family again. So there's quite some intrigue that you can dig up, but it's really up to the player in this game to go digging for that kind of stuff. You can play this just like it's a top-down, simple colony builder, and it does play pretty well like that. Like, you don't really need to dig too deep. Like, your dwarves will have favorite things, so like one dwarf might love palm wood, and you could then just make all of his furniture out of palm wood, and then he'll get happier because he likes palm wood. Or somebody might really like silver, so then you could say, okay, whenever I get something silver, I'll put him in his room. Or he might just go on his way, and like, if you have crafts, sometimes people will take ownership of things that they'll find, like clothing and accessories. So a dwarf who likes silver might go out of their way to get like a silver scepter as a personal belonging, rather than a gold scepter, and so on. There's quite a bit of interesting stuff that you can find there. They can adopt pets, and again, they might choose to adopt a certain kind of pet really quickly because they might, say, like cows a lot. Or they might like spiders. They might hate spiders, and if there's spiders going around, they might constantly be in a bad mood because they hate spiders. And let's see, how is the history going along here? Well, we can see over on this section, the goblins haven't really expanded too much. This big human civilization has been keeping them in check. There's a lot of dwarves up here, and then these guys down here, nobody's really keeping them in check except for the dwarves on this side. There's a lot of elves all in this forest area here. And then over on here, it doesn't look like there's really any elves on this continent here. It's just dwarves, humans. I think there's a necromancer tower there. I think that's what that eye is. Oh, and there we go. So, I think it is done. Is it done the generation yet? We'll see. No, I think I've got... Yeah, it must be more than 200 years then. But yeah, all of these areas will even have names. So right now it's saying human hamlet of Pebuonek, the Step of Clubs. So essentially there's a cursor in here, and it is centered on this human hamlet, and it's located in the region known as the Step of Clubs. And so there'll be these little regions that'll be in an area. They'll have their own biome, like their own weather, and in general, they'll have their own name to them. You can embark into areas that border different biomes, and there can be some use to doing that. Especially if you're in like a mountainous area, you might want to border a forest so that you can get both resources. And in this case, this is a hamlet, which is basically a small town. In the fortress mode, you can interact a bit with the rest of the world, though it's pretty limited. There is an adventure mode where you can go out as a single character and you can explore this whole place. And if you wanted to walk that whole distance, it would take you a long time because this is a big world. There's a lot of stuff going on. And you would be able to find every single hamlet. You can go into everybody's house. You can talk to every single person in there. And a lot of the times they'll have their own history. Most of the times they'll just be like random peasant who doesn't have much history yet because they haven't done anything really of note. And these historical figures, we can even go into a legends mode where you'll be able to read through all the history and all the different characters there. So we can see so far like half of the historical figures or over half have died so far. So, and then there's like 500,000 events that have happened, which is like people fighting or getting married or moving around. And this can definitely take quite a bit of time. Probably should have set it to like a slightly lower so that it would only be 200 years, because I think this is going to be a 250. It can be quite tedious there, but in general this happens fairly quick, a lot faster on my newer computer. In older computers I just run it and leave it for like an hour, so that's not too bad there. So right now, as I'm watching this, I'm kind of thinking to myself where I might want to set up a fort. In some cases, where you go determines like who's going to attack you or what you might interact with or influence. Because you can go out and you can actually conquer other settlements and stuff, in which case they sort of don't like you. I think what you can do is you can request like people to come to your fort early on, and through I guess the mid game as well. You get a lot of migrants coming in, but after a while you don't get very many migrants or any. And so if you want to keep your population going, then you're gonna have to go out and like get areas that are under your control and then have them send people to you. Your population will grow from having kids, but it's actually definitely takes quite a while for dwarves to get it to come of age. And you can get wiped out and lose a lot of people, which can mean it can be quite hard to sustain your losses if you're not careful. And you can definitely just wall yourself in and just lock the gates if you really want to survive. So it's not terribly hard to survive in it, as long as you can just get yourself locked in right away. Certainly doable there. And we're getting close to 250. I'm pretty sure that's when it'll start simulating the world. Because I might want to start somewhat near one of these purple places. And yeah, you can see now we can look at the bottom half of the world, because it is a big world. Further down here, there's actually a lot of uncivilized areas. Like I think, let's see, there we go. So my cursor is down in this bottom corner here. And this whole area is, there's some elves. Yeah, there's some elven forest retreats in this lower section here in the jungle. Aside from that, this area is very poorly populated. Let's see, what is over here? Yeah, there's a goblin tower, which sits right there. They haven't really expanded much. Yeah, the goblin fort. And then I think this is a dark kobold fort here. What's this? Human castles. Okay, so there's some humans living in the bottom here. Not a whole lot of population. Lots of dark goblins down here. And then this purple mountain area is like a haunted mountain region. So, very nasty mountains. And then, yeah, another goblin blob over there. Monasteries. Tombs, human castles. Lots of, like, well-defended stuff over there. It's like the humans built up a bunch of castles here, not a whole lot of, like, cities. And then we go up. Yeah, lots of goblins in the, mire, the wealthy mire. Dark human pits. Okay, so it's dark humans and goblins over there. And then, yeah, here's one of the dwarven civilizations. And then on the other side, there's elves. And then over here, we've got Dwarven Tower. Wonder if that's like a evil dwarves, or if it's just the dwarves conquered it and it just hasn't changed color, maybe. And then up here we've got dark humans, dark goblins. Because yeah, the goblins can go out and they can essentially brainwash people to be evil. And not all goblins are evil themselves. Some of the factions are led by demons, and then they corrupt the goblins. And then over here, yeah, this is where the humans are as well. Doesn't look like there's anything nasty over there. And what's this? This is a desert. Okay, so it's a teal sandy desert over on that side. Neat. So with this, you can export the map image if you wanted to take another look at it later on. But I'll go enter. And it's going to offload all the data that was generated into a convenient folder for it to run the world from. You can generate multiple of these, and then when you go to play, you can just say, hey, I want this world. Ugh. Once you got all this stuff done, then actually playing the game doesn't take nearly as much time. We're just doing the world gen as the first step. And the video is 18 minutes. You'd certainly do it faster if you made a smaller world and shortened down the history of it. And there we go, back to here. So, start playing. And yeah, you can see 3 different modes. We're going to go with Dwarf Fortress. And it's going to load up some stuff. To get ready for that, it'll run about 1 week of history, which you can see happening right now. These are the different seasons: spring, summer, fall, winter. Actually, 2 weeks. And now we have these 3 different maps. Basically, you have the world, you have the region, which is a little more zoomed in, and then you have the local. So the local one is like what's inside of that square, and then within that square, this is going to basically be our fortress area that we can build in. So it has picked this spot automatically, just randomly, and it's not a bad spot. So if I go to my F keys, we can see that I have 2 biomes at the bottom, F1, F2 biomes. If I go F1, it'll highlight this biome. And this is the temperate conifer forest. It's cold, it's heavily forested, thick with vegetation, calm surroundings, and then there is a brook going through it. So it's not a deep river. There is sand, shallow clay, deep soil, shallow metal, and then a flux-stone layer somewhere down there. Flux-stone is good if you want to make steel. And if I'd go F2, the other biome that I'm connected to is the Horns of Closing. This is a mountain range, a section of the mountains. And this has sand, deep metals, flux-stone, no trees, thick vegetation, cold, wilderness surroundings. So there'll be some creatures roaming in there. So essentially on the one side of the brook, there'll be mountains, and then on the other side, it's forest, if I wanted to go there. Now, there are some other things that we can do. So if I want to, I can go and take a look around. I wonder, what was up with this teal one here? Desert of Honor. It is a temperate biome. Scarce trees, scarce vegetation. It's serene. That's why it's teal colored. Usually the color indicates sort of how dangerous it is. So serene means there's friendly creatures in the area. If I were to say go all the way down to that scary mountain range, this is a haunted biome, which probably means that if something dies, it will turn into a zombie, most likely. And then we've got like a white desert here, which is the Dune of Bristles. It's hot, scarce, resources on the surface. It's got sand, little soil, shallow metal, deep metals, and a flux-stone layer in it. And like I've got a gray one here, and then there's a red desert over here. Like this one has no trees, no vegetation. And then over there you got stuff. So, and then up here, what's this? Haunted swamp. Lovely. Perfect place to go on vacation. So, I kind of forgot what kind, like you can search for stuff here. If I go F, I can choose things for like what I want to look for. Like, do I want flux stones? What do I want for some of these other resources? I basically set like desired locations, then it'll highlight them and let me take a look so I don't have to spend so much time looking. So you can say, oh hey, I want a light aquifer if you wanted to, which means it won't flood too much when you dig through the ground. Do you want a river? Do you want metals, soil? Do you want clay? Do you want sand? I am just going to not do that. And, I'm kind of tempted to pick near, let's see. There's a road over here leading to some port over there. Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of goblins in this swampy area. So it's swamps there, and then over here. Kind of want to try out a hot biome. Maybe. Now, if I want to change where I am on this local map here, I can do that with the UMKH keys. This is where things get a little weird. And if I go shift, I can actually expand my map border range. So from this area here, if I go F1, there's the desert. And then F2, there is this grassland. And then F3 is the other desert. So there's two deserts. One's calm, one's wild. the F1 one has deep metals, so I might want to move this over here. Let's see, this one has metal. Yeah, so deep metals, no shallow metals, so I'll have to go digging quite a bit to get to the good metals. There is flux-stone. There's some clay in the grassland. Little soil, but deep soil in the grassland. Soil's convenient for farming, so. And then if I go tab, it'll change modes. So I've got hostile goblins, but I've got some other neighbors. I can choose who I want as my civ. Who lives close to this area? There's a bunch of dwarves there. I mean, kind of makes sense to be these guys because they're closest. So let's just go with the Tongs of Fortune, who will be my civ there. It's pretty flat, low elevation. There is a little bit of a mountainous area at the bottom where the grassland is. That's okay. So, I think that'll be good. So let's embark E. Yeah, that's fine. Now, I'm going to go prepare for the journey carefully, which will show me my starting 7 dwarves. Now, if you want to sort of optimize things, I do have Dwarf Therapist, so let's load that up. This will tell me what my dwarves are like. I believe, yeah, if I press V, I can view them. This will tell me some of the details about these dwarves. So this character here, Sibrek Ushatdorok, who her name translates to Sibrek Basement Collapsed. And she is 44 years old, and her very long hair is arranged in double braids. She has a low voice, her nose is upturned. Her eyes are emerald and narrow. She has a broad chin. Her somewhat broad head is short. Her ears are free-lobed. Her hair is burnt sienna. Her skin is ecru. She is quick to tire and quite clumsy. She likes porcelain, electrum, heliodor, cages, rings, giant axe blades, horses for their strength, aardvarks for their snout. The words of silken flutes, which is something, probably something that was made, like a book maybe? She likes the sound of the poetic musics and the sight of the gloved treaties. When possible, she prefers to consume honey badger and fonio beer. She absolutely detests toads. She has a deep well of patience and a natural inclination towards language, but she has poor empathy and an iffy memory and poor focus. And then they give some details about her species. She personally values peace over war, values decorum, dignity, and proper behavior, and values eloquence. She prefers to be alone, has a strong sense of duty, tries to do things correctly each time. And so you can see there's a huge amount of details. And this will change over time as she's exposed to various things and so on. And that is basically the same for all of these. So some of these traits actually mean things. So if I go into Dwarf Therapist, and if you look at, say, roles, Dwarf Therapist will actually say that, hey, these characters are actually pretty good at certain things. If we go to Sibrek here, some of her traits actually make her, let's say, as a miner, she's 43% good at being a miner based on her attributes, or fit for this role, right? So if you wanted a miner out of these, Kubuk Colielis is like a 60%, right? So you could look at her stats and say, she is... And if you wanted a certain person for a certain job, you could look down here and say, well, what kind of job would she be good at? She's not particularly amazing at much. I mean, she is a good woodcutter. So I could definitely make her the woodcutter, woodcrafter, carpenter, right? There's somebody who's slightly better at that. So you can see if you just even... Or no, wait, this is her. I was looking at Rigoff. So for her top skill, or she comes with these skills because of her history. So she's a dancer, singer, poet. So she's done some of that stuff. She hasn't really done much else. Her top 3 roles: law, dwarf, potter, glassmaker. So I have some clay, and I definitely have sand. So I could go down glassmaking. And so if I wanted to do that, then for sure, I could, when I go into Dwarf Fortress over here, I could say to Sibrick, okay, I'm going to do, a pottery glass-making thing, right? In that case, right, here's potter, here's glazer. There's some different skills there, so I could go and say I want her to be a potter. I think I can make blocks out of clay. So you can invest your embarking points on different stats. So I think I will at least put 2 into pottery for her, and I think where is glass, maybe. Yeah, I'll put 2 into glass making for her as well. So she'll essentially be like clay working and pottery as her jobs. And because I'm not going to have a lot of wood in my location, I'll be needing the wood for fuel. So I'll try to make things out of clay and glass in that case, since I am in that kind of a biome. And if I want somebody to be a miner, Kubik is very good at a mining. Usually that's one of the jobs you want to fill in early. So Kubik, you need to be my mining bro. So I'm going to make you the miner. A miner anyway. They level up their mining skill pretty quick because you do a lot of digging. And I usually like to get 2 miners. So let's see, Rigoff, he is, and this guy, let's see, what is his other skill? Yeah, and then this guy, let's make Etur. Let's make him the other miner, Etur. There we go, 2 miners. Now, I do want a grower, somebody to make food for me. So a farmer. Of course, Kubik is a good farmer. You know what? Let's go make Kubik the farmer, the grower. That's his job. You will be the grower. And then I think I wanted Rigoff instead as the other miner. Let's go with that. There we go. And I will need a carpenter. So Vukar over here, he has a pretty good carpentry skill. Or not carpentry skill, but potentially good at being a carpenter. So let's go make him the carpenter, and Yeah, he'll also want to be the woodcutter as well. I won't be doing too much carpentry or cutting because there won't be very much to do for that job. But you do need carpentry for making beds and barrels, so that leaves Vukar and Edom. So, oh, I've got 2 Vukars. Asoburg. Did I pick Asoburg for that? Yes, I did. Good. So the other Vukar is Kulalatir. So Kulalatir, he is... I mean, he's also not too bad at woodcutting, but I think... I should look at getting somebody who is a mason and also a mechanic. Yeah, I'll make this Vukar the you will be a mason and at the same time a mechanic. Mechanics will be good for making a drawbridge, which is an effective way of closing your door and preventing people from getting in. So that now leaves Edom. Edom over here. Liar, weaponsmith, craft dwarf. Okay. Because I kind of needed somebody to be a cook and a brewer, but not so needed right off the bat. I guess? Yeah. Sure. I'll make you a weaponsmith, what was his other skill? Craft dwarf. Sure, one in armorsmith, one in metalsmith, and one in metal crafting. Actually, I don't need you to be an armorsmith. And do I want you doing other stuff? Maybe not. There are some other jobs that you can look at filling, and I usually do something like that, but I'm gonna make the grower the appraiser, and let's see, what is the other? There are some skills for trading, basically. So I'd like to have somebody to be a good trader. Appraiser's a good stat for doing that, so we'll do that for him. And I think Etur, what were you again? You were a miner as well. Do I want any other skills? Record keeping can be pretty useful, so let's give him record keeping. And then I guess, do I want somebody else for that? Sure, I'll give you fighting skills. Why not? Now, I'm not completely done with the setup yet. I still got 247 points, so let's go to items. 2 copper picks, yep. 2 battle axes. I only really need the 1, because I only have 1 person set for doing that particular job. You can bring extra drinks. I will want more plump helmet spawns because that will be food. And sweet pods are good for food as well. Dimple cups are also very good. Plump helmet are basically like your main food in this game for what you grow, because it grows all season, all year round. Pigtail, you can make clothing out of it in fibers, or you could eat it. Cave wheat's pretty okay. Rock nuts are a bit complicated in how you use them, so I'm just not gonna bother with rock nuts. Yeah, let's just make it simple and get more plump helmets. I could bring more actual ones. For every time a person eats them, they will get the spores to plant more. I don't really need as many of these splints and stuff. Quivers, they're cheap. Yeah. Now, animals. There can be some useful animals. Cats, for example, will kill vermin, which can spoil your food or piss your people off. Like toads, for example. One of my dwarves hates, they detest toads. So a cat will go around and murder the toads. Though there is a bit of a danger about overpopulation when it comes to cats. It's not terrible. I definitely would like to get some birds. Birds don't need to eat, like they don't need to graze, and they produce a ton of eggs. So I think I'll go for geese. I mean, peahen are actually pretty good as well. So 3, 4. Yeah, let's do peafowl. Then I'll basically just dig a hole in the ground, and then they can make lots of eggs. So let's see. I still got lots of points. There we go. Let's get 2 cats. And as for other stuff, let's get more booze. More drinks. Now, I'm gonna add some new items. Let's see. Yeah. For every item type, you will actually get a new barrel for it, which is why I'm doing this. Fish, eggs, weapons. Do I want weapons? Not really. So there is a bit of a thing to just get small amounts of everything just to get more barrels if you needed more barrels, but yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that for that. 40 points. Let's go back to my dwarves and I'll just give them some random skills. I'll give you... Let's give you a point there. I'll give you a... You know what? Let's make you a singer. Yeah, you'll be a singer. You can be a musician. 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 And you can be a musician. There you go. Now, let's go fort name. currently, it's Kikro Sterile. Stoked water. Stoked Aid Waters. Or Stockade Waters. There we go. Stockade Waters. Bit of a weird name. Let's go random. What's the next one? Healed Chamber. Tower Gloves. Drill Boat. Page 6. Faint Walled. Ink Cobras. Your Syrup. Vise Gear. Winter Basement. Page Judged. Tomb Bowel. 3 Posts. Trade Romance. Or Traded Romance. Sure. Nishabir Trade Romance will be the name of the fortress. And then my expedition group is the Lantern of Heating. Let's random. The Outrageous Roof. Sure. Outrageous Roof. Zarkleo. And then my symbol. Wait. I forgot. What was our group name? The Outrageous Roof, and we are Trade Romance. What kind of... do I have a roof? No. Shape. What do we have? Blazing Sun? Yep, there is a blazing sun for sure. We're in the desert. So there... The Gilded Combination, World of Glazers. Ooh, okay. Glazers, I have a glazer. We can do glass. Okay. So there's a blazing sun. And shape. Cloud, no, we want full moon, a gizzard stone, half moon, hidden moon, mountain. A wave. Sure, let's go wave. There is a wave. 0. And waves. Let's go creature. There is a dwarf. How many? Let's do a single dwarf. There's an image of blazing sun, waves, and a dwarf. Action or relationships. So X is... There you go. So, X, which is the dwarf, is surrounded by the waves. Kind of thinking the waves is like sand dunes. So there we go. We'll call it there. Yeah. I have to save. Why? Done. There we go. We are ready to go now. Finally. 50 minutes almost. You have arrived. There we go. Strike the earth. Pause the game, and we can see what our place actually looks like with this squiggly river. So you can see here we got our desert area. Lots of sand. We have some... what looks like... what's this over here? That is a saguaro trunk. Basically a cactus. And then down here we got our grassland, which has willows cherry trees. Oh, we got cherries. Sand pear. We got pears. Okay. Pears and cherries. Cherries. Yeah, so this cherry tree. An apple tree as well. So there's an apple tree and a cherry tree. So we can actually even harvest these when the season is right. It'll be spring right away, so we won't be able to do too much there. Yeah, this area goes all the way up to here. And then all the way up there. So, and then our group is started off in this little section here. So thinking of where I might want to start out my little base. Well, in this game, you pretty much do most of the stuff underground. You might want to create kind of like a funnel, which I could do. Right, I can make this section here into the entrance and then just dig into the mountain. It's pretty much just sand and dirt for most of this area here. Oh, this is actually clay, this brown stuff here. So I got clay, and then I'll have a bunch of sand up here. This yellow sand. And yeah. But I think I'll leave that for another video, because this one is already past 50 minutes and we have only just begun. This game can be quite a time sink, as it'll take a while, but you know, we have our dwarves over here. They even have their jobs. I'm actually going to, before I forget, I'm going to go into here, labors, and I could just straight up tell them, hey, because I think my guys here, they should have by default their jobs assigned, but I can like tell my miners, for example, to not do certain jobs, right? But I have to refresh, and now it will tell me what their profession is and how much skill they have. You can see I invested 2 into the miners, and they already have it selected by default. I'll definitely want my woodcrafter to also do bowing and woodcrafting, and then I can do that, and it will automatically change that in-game to do that. Otherwise, it's actually kind of complicated to do it in-game, which is why I prefer to use Dwarf Therapist for that sort of job. But I'll have this guy do that stuff, and let's see, I have my farmer there. But yeah, for sure I will want my miners to not, what is it? I don't want them hauling food. I want them mining. So don't haul furniture, don't haul items. They can do refuse. I don't want them doing stone or wood. And yeah, that should be good there. That way my miners won't get too distracted by doing other jobs. So I'll actually just call it here. Take care.